Slasher. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are ready to hit it off SMC Slasher Movie Club on a Wednesday night because that's the way it had to go, Coriander. That's the way that it had to go. What's going on?
Right. Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. For you guys that are here, we appreciate you guys stopping by, and we got Jerry in the house. What's up, Jerry? Saying hello. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. We got Val in the house. What's up, Val? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And also we got Scott. And hey, Scott, saying hey, Night and Coriander. Hey, fam. Good to have you here too, man. Appreciate you. Hope that you are doing well tonight. Guys, tonight, we had started to kind of dip our toes into some more Rob Zombie territory, and tonight is no different. We talked about The Devil's Rejects just a couple weeks ago, and now we're going to be stepping into the finale of the Firefly trilogy and story with Three from Hell. And I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation because I know with myself, when this movie came out, of course, this was years. I mean, this was several years after Devil's Rejects. And, I'm not trying to say, oh, well, I was that type of fan that was like, well, this took way too long, because we've seen sequels with big gaps between them in years do really well. But this one, man, it just felt like it was going to be a bit different. And maybe part of that in my own head was because at that point Rob Zombie had ventured out into some other films, most notably Halloween, and of course the sequel. So I was just kind of, I don't know, I was in a weird state when this movie came out. Coriander, do you remember how you felt when you heard about this movie or when you had first watched it?
Well, I didn't think that it was too far in between. For me, it was like, wow, I wanted to know if they survived, how they were going to do this.
Right.
That was my big thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think of anything else yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I mean, we're talking about 14 years in between these films because the first film was in 05 and then this one was from 2019. So it was a big gap.
That is.
Right? Yeah, I mean, and so and the other thing too, and we're obviously going to get into it when we talk about the three, and of course Sid dealing with the health issues and so forth. I think that really made a difference too in this story, and we'll get more into that. But real quick before we get into things proper, look, we're just catching up. Scott was saying, personally, I found Three from Hell very disappointing. The loss of Sid Haig threw off the chemistry. I mean, there was definitely a lot to be said, as far as Sid and what he brought to the table. I think there's no denying that he was just he just had great chemistry, with Sherry Moon and also with Bill, and the three of them together. I think they had a good balance. If that makes sense to you, you know what I mean? They kind of played off of each other, and I think that that film had. I agree a lot of what Scott's saying. So, but let's get into this a little bit. Like you said, Coriander, at the beginning of the film, we're trying to figure out how the hell did they survive? How can you
Right.
survive, right? And so, it
Mm,
starts right off kind of showing just basically clips of the end of Devil's Rejects when they were in the car
mhm.
ride to hell, where you had basically it was like the scene in Predator in the jungle where everybody was just shooting at them.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, there's no way they can make it. I remember also thinking, how? How can they survive this when I heard that they were coming back? And I knew it wasn't going to be something supernatural. I was just like, I got to see how they do this. Now, Rob
Mm,
Zombie, kind of, I don't want to say jumped the shark a little bit, but definitely kind of glossed over the fact that each of them had like, I think they said in the film 20 bullet holes in
it
their
was something. I don't know if it was 20, but
could have sworn I heard that number because I remember when we were
yeah.
watching, like, what? But, anyways, they were all hurt. And real quick, I want to give a
Mm,
shout out to Austin Stoker here, who is doing the news report. For you guys that are fans of Carpenter films, Assault on Precinct 13, he was the lead in it, and he was awesome.
mhm.
He's always had this great voice, the way he talks. So I
Yep.
recognized him right off the bat, even though this is obviously 50 years later, but he was great. But you see this picture of Otis on life support, and in some way,
Mm,
somehow, they didn't die. And
yeah.
the first 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes, is kind of like this cross between news report, interview, and obviously filming them in jail through the court proceedings and so forth. Coriander, what did you
Mhm.
think of this beginning? Because it's totally different than House of a Thousand Corpses and even
Mm.
Devil's Rejects.
I didn't mind how this began. I didn't mind the style that he shot it in, the way he did it. I thought it was, it's interesting. It was new,
Yeah,
so
yeah. It
at
had
least for these two movies, so
I
yeah.
agree. It had a really cool energy and you really felt like you were watching something real, you know?
Right.
And you've got people on the streets that are basically kind of idolizing the
Yeah.
3. They were saying stuff like "free the 3," they didn't
Mhm.
do it, or they're not that bad, all of this crazy stuff which we see in real life.
Mhm.
You think of the
Oh,
Mendez
yeah.
brothers, and obviously there were people that were big fans of Manson and so forth and so
Oh,
forth. It's,
yeah.
it's, it's absolutely crazy. So I give Rob Zombie credit. He was really tapping into some things that have happened in real life. Uh,
Yeah.
Real quick too, in the chat, Scott was saying that's why that newscaster looked familiar. That's right. That's right. Carpenter's Assault on Precinct. That was a great movie.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't talk about it, but it's a great one. We got Mikey in the house. What's up, Mikey? Saying, "Night, you need to write or direct." I wish. Thanks. You're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish I could. I really do. Who knows?
You could write, and you know it.
Well, well, you never know. I
I
never
do
say
know.
never. I never say never. Isaac, what's up? Say, hope everyone is having a great night. We are, and we're just chilling and talking about
Mhm.
Three from Hell. We get to the big scene with Sid Haig, who obviously was dealing with illness. Really, really bad illness. Um, as in my opinion, pretty iconic Captain Spaulding,
Mm,
charisma unlimited. And this was really his big scene behind bars, being interviewed by someone asking him, basically trying to find out how Captain Spaulding ticks. And of course, Sid had the type of response you would expect from that character. It doesn't mean anything. We're all doomed, that type of stuff. But you could
mhm,
tell he was ill. But I will say you could see little glimpses of that power that he commanded as such a great character actor for a long career in film. Coriander, what did you think of this scene of Sid playing Captain Spaulding? Really, the only scene that he had in the film.
I mean, it was kinda bittersweet because we knew
Mm,
that this was his last scene, and you could tell that he didn't look good, and,
hmm
I don't know, it was sad to see. Because yeah, he was great in the
Yeah.
first two, and
Mhm.
without him, I mean, it would be interesting to see how the movies would be and if there would be a different Spalding, who would have played him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, it was well, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. And also in the chat, we got Gory Tiger. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, Sid, look, he was just great in this role, and I know these films aren't everyone's cup of tea. Although Devil's Rejects was very successful, it had some good critical acclaim and also made some good money in the box office. But I give them credit. I give Rob credit for giving Sid, this moment to still be a part of the film, even though it's a very
Oh,
brief, 5-minute scene or whatever. He passed away shortly after the film was released into theaters.
yeah.
Um, and it is sad, but I will say, uh, he was a worker all the way up until the end, and I give him all the
Mm.
credit in the world. And it's funny
Same
because
as
every once
Candyman.
what was that?
I said same as Candyman.
Same as Tony Todd, that's right. But I will
Mhm.
say this, every once in a while, I'll watch movies from back in the day, and I'll see Sid Haig, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, look at him,"
Yeah.
and especially when he was young, he was just, a very
Mhm.
powerful, commanding presence physically and in his delivery, and he was great in House and Devil's Rejects, and, like folks in the chat mentioned earlier, and you did too, I think he was the glue. I think he was the glue. He was a commanding presence. He also was the comedic flavor. He just was interesting. It's like anytime he was on screen in either of those two movies, you had to pay attention. You know, don't you
Yeah.
think clowns are funny? Did I stutter? He was just great. So it was sad, that he was in this situation and obviously passed away. But in the film, the way they handled it was, him and Otis were on death row. Well, and actually
Mm.
Baby was as well. So all three of the Devil's Rejects, they were all on death row, and I guess Captain Spaulding was the first to be put to death by lethal injection. So it was off screen, and of course, in the movie they're showing the newspaper of it and this and that, and it was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of bittersweet even the way that happened, but at the same time, it was respectful. And so once Captain Spaulding, is off of the movie basically, then they kind of focus a lot on Otis, and Otis is being interviewed, and what makes him tick and all of these things. And Bill Moseley, and I said this to you, Coriander, and I want your thoughts too. Bill Moseley, this was a character that he really got comfortable with, and really had some great delivery and moments. I do wish that he could have done this character for a little bit longer, because I thought he was so good at it. What did you think, especially right now in the beginning of the film, of Otis? He's behind bars, that he's just plotting to get out. What do you think of Otis at this point, and also Bill, in his delivery?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he knows how to play Otis, and I mean, even in this, he was pretty good.
Yeah,
Maybe him and his brother there. What was he, a hellhound, or what the fuck was his name?
Foxy, the
Whatever the hell
midnight
is it?
the midnight howler.
Yeah, whatever, man. I mean, maybe they didn't have the same type of chemistry as him and Sid did, but
Yeah,
I mean, it was all right.
yeah,
It's not like I had any real issues with it.
yeah.
So, but
Well,
as far as, I didn't mind how his character was, or,
yeah.
seeing him in jail and how he was with the guards at one point where he was talking to them like,
Mhm.
I can't remember what the fuck they were talking about, but it was almost like, whatever. But yeah, you know.
No, I
Mhm.
thought he was great in it, and of course, they're being
Yeah.
transported somewhere, and
Yeah.
who should be on the truck too, but our good friend Danny Trejo, who's in everything all the time. I love Danny Trejo, and he's playing the character from Devil's Rejects, the assassin, the Unholy Two,
Yeah.
right? The Unholy Two, him and Diamond Dallas Page, who actually are the ones that kind of betrayed the Devil's Rejects
Yep.
and rounded them up for um, William Forsythe's character. So obviously Otis is getting revenge here, and his half brother. This is when we learn about the half brother you were talking about, played by Richard Brake, who is an amazing character actor himself. Winslow, Foxworth, Coltrane. You got to love these names. Um,
Right.
and you're right. They didn't have the same type of chemistry, I think, that Bill and Sid had. But I think the thing about Bill and Sid is they were different types of characters, so they could play off of each other. Whereas
Mhm.
I feel like Foxy is not the same as Otis, but he's close to, they kind of like they pal with each other. Whereas Sid and Bill, they were always kind of at each other's throats, always throwing insults at each other, and
Mm,
kind of like the older brother and the little brother that never got along, but yet
mm.
they have family bonds. So I agree with you on that. We've got also, you got to love all of these characters in this film. We've got the
Yeah.
the sheriff who you got to love these characters, man. Look at these glasses, bro.
Well, this
Jeff
dude, wasn't he the warden, right?
Yeah, he was the warden. I'm sorry. Yeah, I said sheriff. The warden. Jeff Daniel Phillips as Warden Virgil Dallas Harper. And of course,
Mm,
he's been in a ton of Rob Zombie films. And he's a great character actor as well. So he's the
mhm.
warden who, once Otis escapes, the warden is all pissed off and feels like it's a slight against him and so forth.
Yeah.
But the question is, well, what are they going to do? They're on the run, and you got to love Otis because he's like, because Foxy's saying, "Well, what's our next move?" and and Otis is like, "I don't know. I never thought we'd make it this far." It's like it's just
Yeah.
like Otis, in other words. And tell me what you think. But it felt like Otis became kind of the comic relief that Sid was in the
He
first
had
two
his
films.
moments. Yeah.
He said some funny stuff, man. It was crazy. Real quick too, in the chat, we got Tommy coming into the chat. What's going on, Tommy? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Hey.
Saying hi, this is Tommy. How are you? Can you please do Freddy's Nightmares? Ooh, season 2, episode 12. That's my special request. Well, I'll tell you what, it's funny you mentioned that because we were talking about maybe doing some seasons of some shows from TV horror, that is. And so that might be one that we have to kind of put on the wheel because there were some fun episodes of that back in the day because they were trying to do basically their version of Tales from the Crypt, or the Outer Limits or
Mhm.
Tales from the Dark Side. The only difference was is that Robert was the crypt keeper. That's all that it was. Freddy wasn't even
Mm,
in the episodes. Um, but there
mm,
were a lot of big name stars that got their break on Freddy's Nightmares or had early roles in Freddy's Nightmares, like
mm.
Brad Pitt. I remember an episode with Brad Pitt.
Really? Wow.
Yes,
See, I
yes,
haven't seen any
yes,
of those. I
yes.
wasn't big into, you know,
Yeah.
especially then. When were those even out?
Well, that was pretty much after Dream Warriors, after Dream Warriors,
Okay, so
Dream
like the
Master. That's when
80s,
Freddy was up. Oh
90s?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Freddy was everywhere. They also had a
He
Friday
was.
the 13th TV show too. Friday the
Well,
13th.
that I know. That yes, but that other one, no, I have no clue.
Yeah, it was some fun stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, Tommy, you got to check us out over on Patreon because we do a lot of cool exclusive stuff. And we've been talking about getting back into shows. We did a really cool run where we did Creep Show and we went through, I think it was 2 seasons of Creep Show. So check us out there because it's definitely something that we might be doing soon.
Mhm.
Um, so we've got these two that are free, but Sherry Moon Zombie, at this point, Sherry Moon Zombie hadn't had a lot of screen time, but she's also behind bars and on death row and stuff like this. And look at who is to her right. That is America's
Oh
mom
yeah.
right there, Dee Wallace, looking
Mhm.
almost unrecognizable. Talk about a haircut. And I remember we were watching this Coriander, and I'm like, how freaking tall is Sherry Moon Zombie? She's like towering over these folks, these other
Mhm.
ladies. It was crazy. But it was at this point that Sherry Moon Zombie had a big part in the film. She's up for probation. She's just totally Looney Tunes, and acting like, hey, it doesn't matter if I get out or not. And it was just one of those scenes where it's kind of showing just how far gone Baby is as a character, or maybe
Yeah.
just not giving a hell. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But interesting stuff. And then, of course, where you have Foxy and Otis, they come into contact with these two goons, as you would say,
Right,
who
exact I was even thinking in my head, "These 2 goons."
you say it, you say it better than me, man. And they had seen the news where it was shown that they were fugitives on the run. Now, let me ask you something, Coriander.
These
Is
guys
there?
are fr
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, man.
No,
No. No, no,
I,
no, 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 please ask me.
I was gonna say, is there any universe possible where you think it would be smart to take the law into your own hands like this with
No.
two killers that are fugitives on the run, that are some of the most dangerous men of all time in this world?
Yeah. No.
Was that it was just crazy, it
No.
was stupid, and even the lady
It
was like,
was.
"Yeah, shoot him now, he's lying." You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh my
Oh
god,
my
yep.
yeah, well, guess what?
And
That
you knew it was gonna go bad, you
you
know?
definitely knew you didn't know how bad, but look,
Right?
that's what happened to her buddy. He got shot right in front of her
Mhm.
face, and it's all over her. And
Yep.
in classic Devil's Rejects fashion, Otis and Foxy take care of things. I won't get into all the nitty gritty of it because it's pretty damn gross. But meanwhile, Baby is being tested hardcore because Dee Wallace, as one of the guards, lets a couple of the inmates have a meeting with Baby, basically to kill her. They're there to
Yeah.
kill her. And it does not. And D Wallace is sitting there like, oh, seems like that's enough time for it to happen. And next thing you know, she comes
Mhm.
in and Baby has obliterated these two ladies. I mean, she killed
Mhm.
them. It's almost like she killed them 5 times. And you could just see the craziness. But also, I want to say this too. It also showed just how formidable Baby is on her own, because in Devil's Rejects, she always had Captain Spaulding and Otis with her. You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
you knew she was dangerous and she's crazy, but like in this film, she's alone, so she's got to take care of herself. And boy, did she take care of herself. Um,
Mm.
the warden is trying to get information out of her. She's not giving any information. He wants to know who set you up. And Baby didn't snitch. She did not
Yeah.
snitch. Now maybe that's because she wanted revenge later on. What did you think of Sherry Moon Zombie in these scenes as Baby? I mean, she definitely didn't take any shit.
She didn't, and I mean, why should she, right? A lot of these
Right.
people, like, either hated her or loved her, you know what I
Right.
mean? So, I mean, and when you're from what I hear and always see, I mean, you wanna act like you don't give a shit and that you're tough and don't fuck with
Mhm.
me, you know? Because
Right.
who wants to have these bitches walking all over you and,
Mhm.
guards and everything? No way.
Yep,
So I
absolutely.
thought she did pretty good with, she was
I hear
definitely, you know, out there more than she was in, the first 2 movies, but I guess
Yeah, that's
when
true.
you're, you know yeah. So anyway.
Yeah,
Yep.
she was definitely on the edge. I mean, pretty
Mhm.
much insane. Val in the chat, thank you so much for putting the link in there for our Patreon. Again, guys, if you'd like to help support us there, we have exclusive stuff we do through Patreon. Also, is an easy way for me to communicate with you guys. We'll also have just exclusive videos and stuff. We got a lot of stuff planned coming up as well, especially for end of the year. And Scott was saying Sherry was insufferably crazy in this movie. Yeah, I definitely think there were some moments where she was like I said, she was like right on the edge of like, okay, come on now. But I will say this film really showed her badass side, really well, because there were moments again, like in the first, not the first, well, actually in the first film and even Devil's Rejects, she always had someone with her. You know what I mean? Some part
Yeah.
of the family. but in jail, she really was on her own. And as we move through the story, well, the warden comes home, and also one of the guys that was on the committee for parole and all that. And looks like Otis and Foxy have taken hostage some folks, and it doesn't look good. It does not look good. You know, this is not going to
Yeah.
end up well. But when I first watched this, I'm trying to figure out what's their game plan. What are they going to do? And Otis basically says, "Hey, you're going to spring my sister from jail."
Yep.
And he's got a pretty good game plan in a way. He says,
Yeah.
"Look,
Yeah.
you're going to put her in some prison clothes and like she's being transported, and then you're going to drive her back to this house. And if you don't, I'm going to kill your wife and also this other guy that's on the committee and his wife." So he's got the leverage.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But guess what? Nothing ever goes according to plan. And I guess there was going to be a party of some sort at the house for some reason. And look who comes. Look who
Yeah, wrong
comes in.
house.
Yeah, look, it's Clint Howard under all that makeup.
Hmm.
Clint Howard is well known in horror films and genre films and stuff like that. Obviously, the brother of
And his
Ron Howard.
brother, right?
Yeah, yeah, the brother of the great Ron Howard, um, uncle of Bryce Dallas Howard, if you want to get into Jurassic World and all those other things. But anyways, so I'm doing a family tree. He comes in as a clown, and as soon as he came in, the look on Bill Moseley's face was classic. It was like, oh my God. It was just so funny.
Yep.
And they basically say, or Otis says to him, because he was like, "Well, you're not gonna kill me, are you?" He's like, "No, if you can make us laugh or make me laugh, I won't kill you." And he's
Yep.
going through all this stuff. And look, they're just watching him. The guy on the committee, he got shot in the belly, so he's already, kind of on his way out. And
Yep.
it was a funny scene. I wonder, and I don't know, but I wonder if this was kind of a way for them to maybe in a weird way homage Sid, and the character of Captain Spaulding. Because originally,
Oh,
Rob Zombie, obviously, Captain Spaulding was going to have a huge role in this movie. That's the way Rob Zombie originally wrote the film, and he had to kind of pivot when Sid wasn't able to, physically do a lot.
yeah.
So I wonder if this was their way of having a clown in there, and kind of an homage to Sid. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. Um, Real quick, Scott was saying even Otis was surprised by how nuts she had become. Yeah, he did say that. And also one thing we didn't mention, we also have to mention they were in prison for 10 years.
Yep.
So it was 10 years before Otis broke out and is trying to break out Baby. So yeah, I mean, I could imagine after 10 years, she kind of went crazy. She had this scene where she's seeing a dancing cat and she's definitely losing it. You get
I know,
listen,
it's making me think of the white horse. Like, what the
yeah,
hell?
that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like it's almost like Rob Zombie cannot help but put these little odd things that are part of hallucinations. You know what I think it is though? And I thought about this right before we went live. You know what I think it could be, Coriander? Like
What?
Rob Zombie obviously comes from the music world and music videos and stuff like that. And like a lot of music videos of his time, and even in his music videos, they had weird shit in it, just off the
Oh, yeah.
cuff type of imagery. So I'm wondering if that's some of where that inspiration came from to have imagery like that. And especially as you know where I'm going with this, especially the white horse shit in Halloween 2, which again, I get what he was trying to say or trying to do, but I just felt like it was just so odd to be in a Halloween film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I
The
won't go down
dumb
that.
look she was given.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean, she was
rough.
googing hard.
Yeah, it was rough. And she was so good in the first Halloween film, in my opinion. I thought she did a hell of a job in the 2007 Halloween film. So,
Mhm.
anyways, but it looks like the warden is on board and he brings Baby up to the office and he's going to spring her. Of course, you got to love Dee Wallace. she wanted to wait outside of the office to make sure that baby doesn't attack her because she's like, she's dangerous. You don't know her. And he's like, I know her. We're fine. Leave, Greta. He's like, Greta.
Yeah.
It would. I mean, some of this stuff, I don't, I'm not trying to sound sadistic, but some of this stuff was just funny because of the characters and the situations they were in. You know what I mean? Um,
Mhm.
and sure as shit, D. Wallace comes into the office, barges into the office, remember? And look
Yeah,
who is behind her. And once again, bro, Baby killed a lot of people in this film.
she did.
She really did. So she took out the amazing D. Wallace. And then back at the house, look, these people are not having fun. The wife of the guy from the committee, she tries to run. She gets killed. You got Baby waving at a neighbor. Hi, Grandma. I mean,
I know. Oh my
it's just
god.
some it's some like, you almost have to laugh, you know? But once again, and they try to have this balance because you have a scene like that, and then Otis, again, Bill, when he gets that serious look on his face, it's gold. Like, you believe it. You believe that he is truly Otis Driftwood. And he was looking at the warden saying, "You remember what you told me when I first came to your prison?" It was something like, "Welcome to my hell," or something like that. And he
Mhm.
basically, he kills him right there, and
Mm.
so another person aced out. So then the big question is, well, what are we going to do now? And they come up with this big game plan that they're going to go to a hotel and get their thoughts together. Of course, Baby is such a loose friggin' cannon. She kills this guy, and it was
Yep.
just, again, it was another funny interaction with her and Otis. I gave you 10 minutes, and this is what
Mhm.
you do. You kill someone. We got to get out of here. So why not go to Mexico? There
Yeah.
you go. And I think it was Baby's idea, if I'm not mistaken. So they head on down to Mexico, which, in this particular film, hey, it's not a bad idea. Um,
Yep.
Hot as hell. And they're just trying to get themselves together. They meet some new characters. You got Carlos and his little friend. And, what we don't know, Coriander, and this totally caught me off guard the first time I saw it, was Carlos, who's the owner of this bar, calls this guy, "Look at the picture on the wall. That's Danny
Yeah.
Trejo."
Yeah, it is.
This is the son of Danny Trejo's character, who was killed by Otis earlier in the film before they escaped. And of course, he was the guy, Danny Trejo's character was from the Devil's Rejects when they were hunting the Firefly family. So, anyways, so it looks as though we've got a son who wants vengeance. Now, let me ask you
Yep.
this, Coriander. At this point in the film, were you thinking to yourself, oh shit, the the Firefly family, they're in trouble because now they got like the Mexican cartel coming after them.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like, it's to me it's almost like, okay, we're kind of doing what we did in part 2 with when the buddy there told the cop they're there and
Yeah,
blah blah.
that's true.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of funny that I love the masks that they wore, him and his,
Right?
you know, group of goons, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in the chat, we got David in the house saying, "Hey fam, what's going on, David? Good to have you." Tommy
Mm,
saying, "Addressed as Jason from Friday 13th on my picture." Well, you're
nice.
in the right place because we absolutely
Right?
love Friday the 13th
We
and
sure
Jason.
do. Yeah,
Very
we do.
cool. Very, very cool. I will say this was a kind of a cool little moment where when they were in Mexico and just kind of hanging around, and it seemed like they were kind of, I don't know, like a somber moment. And Otis,
Mm,
asked Baby, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And he said, "You thinking about Cutter," which of course was Captain Spaulding, her
mhm.
father. That's another thing too. We didn't even really get into that, but her father. And they showed this quick little montage that was from Devil's Rejects when the three of them were kind of walking and smiling. Um, and Otis, it was kind of cool again, giving respect to Sid, and also the character itself, being killed. Um,
Yeah.
but I think Rob Zombie and Bill as the character of Otis handled it in the way that made sense for the film, because Otis was like, "Hey, he lived longer than most. He hung in
Yeah.
there longer than most in our type of a world. That's all you can ask for. We all get effed at the end anyways. You know what I'm saying? So it was like
Yeah.
it wasn't mushy, but you could tell that they missed him and gave respect to him type of thing. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was a cool little moment, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, Scott saying the Firefly family versus the Mayans taking all bets. Yeah, I know, right? Super Tenors in the house. What's going on, man? Good to see you.
Hey.
Glad to have you here. So we get the scene, and look, I will say this to you, and I was thinking it last night. If you really think about it, and it's not a knock, because most horror movies, especially sequels, kind of stay in a similar lane, like even ones we love, like Friday 13th. There's a lot of
Mhm.
similarities between a lot of them. Same thing with Halloween or Elm Street or Scream. It's just the way it is. But I was thinking when we were watching this, like they're taking a lot of beats from Devil's Rejects. You know what I mean? Like you just said,
Yeah.
someone snitches and calls in the big guns against them, betrays
Mhm.
them. Here they are, they're gonna party and dance and have some drinks and kind of be off their
Mhm.
game a little bit, just like in Devil's Rejects, so but
Mhm.
but the difference is, and I think Rob was smart to do this. The difference is this time they're able to fight, and we'll get to that in a second. Love this scene where Baby's doing the knife throwing. They're putting bets on who
Yeah.
can hit the target the best, and of course she's an ace again. You know this. I mean, Otis was a big part of this film for sure, but they definitely gave a lot of moments to Sherry Moon Zombie. Just showing
Yeah.
how badass and self sufficient she is, and I thought that was cool. And her friend here, he was kind of one of those people trying to help them along. They're kind of strangers in a strange town, and she's like kind of just chilling with him, eating something in the morning after they had a night of drinking and partying. And here the goons, like you said, coming out of the black vans, dressed in suits, and like, what are
I
these,
was
like
waiting for them to, like, wax each other up and start wrestling, not
yeah, I was about
wax,
to
but, like, grease each other up.
yeah, like luchadors or something,
Oh
like
my god.
Nacho Libre. What are we doing here?
Oh.
But it's awesome. It's an awesome visual. You remember Nacho Libre with Jack Black?
No.
You didn't see that? Okay. Scott,
No.
yeah, Scott's calling it luchador mask. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Super Tenor saying, I like House of a Thousand Corpses. Best Devil's Rejects was good. Oh, likes House best. Devil's Rejects was good. The third, okay. There you go. Yeah. David saying this movie reminds me of Texas Chainsaw. Well, it definitely has some of those parallels. Rob Zombie is a huge fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and a lot of his style definitely borrows from TCM and what Toby Hooper did back in the day. We got Paula in the house too. What's up, Paula? Good to see you.
Hey.
So obviously they're coming to assassinate, you know, the three. And they're
Mhm.
come and it's very similar to how it was in Devil's Rejects. They're coming in when, Otis and Foxy, they're in bed and,
Mhm.
not expecting anything. But the difference is this time, especially Baby, like, look, I'm not saying she's on the level of Hawkeye or Legolas from the Lord of the Rings, but this chick can use a bow and arrow pretty well. I'm just saying, So she takes out, I think it's two of the guys with a bow and arrow. It was some cool shots. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mm.
Foxy's got his shotgun, and
Yeah.
he saves Otis. That was kind of a cool scene too. It showed how important Foxy is to the three. He saved
Mm.
Otis. Um,
Yeah.
and then, of course, Otis, he's gonna get even. So he finds Carlos in the car, calls him a rat. You know what
Mm.
happens to rats, and it's just over.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, and but of course, the bad guys have to get their shot in. So Baby and Foxy are basically tied up, and the challenge is for Otis to fight one of the other guys, one of the other goons, a really tall goon. just blade versus blade, no guns, because they kept saying, "Oh, without their guns, they're nothing." It's like, are you serious? Have you followed
Right?
what these people have done for
Mm.
years? Um, Long story short, though, everything works out pretty good. Baby gets a knife and so forth. What did you think of this finale as far as the fighting up to this point and how that all came about? I thought it was pretty exciting stuff.
It's almost like how many chances do these people get? You know what I
Mhm,
mean? They survive the friggin' shady cop, a
mhm,
detective, and now they're surviving a gaggle of these goons. It's like, what
mhm.
the hell?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
I was kind of like, maybe they'll actually end up in those three coffins, but yeah,
yeah. I mean,
unfortunately they didn't.
well, I mean, is it unfortunate or is it fortunate? I think, I
Both
mean, to
ways.
be honest, when I first saw this, I did think they were gonna die too. It looked like the odds
Yeah.
were way stacked against them.
Mm. Yeah,
But
it did.
but, they had friends from the inside, the little guy had a gun and helped them out. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's just like they just got a way of doing stuff, but
Yeah.
it
Tiny saved him, and Tiny
Tiny
saved
saved
him
them.
in this too.
Right? And
Although
it's
he
like
really wasn't tiny, but you
right.
know what I mean.
And, it was kind of cool. Actually, you just made me think. It was kinda cool because Baby talked about her brother Tiny
She
and
did.
compared the
Mhm.
2. So that was a
They
nice
did.
callback. That was a nice callback all the way back to House of a
Mhm.
Thousand Corpses. I did like that. Little things
Mhm.
like that, you know what I'm saying? But, they put, Danny Trejo's son in the coffin and,
Yep.
again, just funny little moments because Otis is like, you can always tell in the eyes when they break and, like and Foxy's like, "Is that it?" No, he's like, "No, no, not yet. Keep looking at him." And, like, this guy knew he was done. And of course, he's
Mhm.
like, "F you." And Otis said this in Devil's Rejects too. He's like, "They always say that." And then they lit him on fire, man, right in the coffin. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. And they survived and then they drove off. And I think it's interesting because
Right.
if it felt like this was the flip. Like Rob Zombie was doing the flip of what happened with Devil's Rejects. I bet
Mhm.
you, and I believe I read this before, that he even admitted he pinned himself in a corner because Devil's Rejects was so successful back then. But it's like, how do you do a sequel? Maybe he just couldn't figure it out,
Mm.
for a long time, because they were getting shot the fuck up, man. But
Yeah, they
in
were.
in this film, he's like, "Nope, they're just gonna drive off, and all I'm gonna show you is just this road, this never-ending road." So I think it was poetic in that sense, that they just
Yes.
keep driving,
Yeah.
Yep.
So they hit the
Scott said
next town
until they hit the
and they
next town,
kill
that's
a bunch
right.
of people.
Probably. Scott
Yep.
saying if they can survive death by Freebird, they can survive a handful of luchador assassins. There you go. No doubt.
Right.
Yep. And again, like there's no game plan. They're just literally jumping from one place to another. They don't know where they're going. Like Otis said, I don't have a plan. He's like, I didn't think we'd make it this far, to be quite honest. And it's just
Mm.
so ironic, you know. Um, but hey, that's how it happened. We got Marcus in the
Mm.
house from I Shot Him Six Times. What's up, man? Thank you so much for the super chat.
Mhm.
Saying didn't land for me. They made them heroes, in my opinion. They definitely did. It's like I said, it almost made them the flip side of what they did in Devil's Rejects. Um, I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. I just think that the film I will say this, and we'll get into our grading of it in a second, but I will say this, it kind of felt like the film was darker in a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just they were pretty damn sadistic in a lot of moments, you know what I'm saying? And even their
In
characters, what
this
they were
one?
going through, it felt like it was darker in a lot of ways than
Really?
Devil's Rejects.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, think
I
about
don't know.
Baby with the whole Dee Wallace thing, and then, of
Yeah,
course,
but think of the couple in the hotel.
that was yeah, no, that was pretty bad, but
And
the people that they had hostage in this one, And also the clown, I mean, he shot the clown. The clown actually got him to laugh, and he
But that
still killed
wasn't
him.
bad. Yeah, you
No.
knew that was gonna happen. Come on.
Yeah.
You knew that was
And
gonna
the
happen.
and the warden killed the warden, even though the warden did everything he said to do, and,
Yeah,
you
you knew that
know,
was gonna happen.
the people in the woods cutting off the
They're
lady's
fools to
face.
go to trust these people's word, you know?
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. Well, I will say this, and tell me what you think. I mean, obviously, not having Sid there, it did feel a little more unbalanced. And I won't say a little, a lot. I think he brought so much to the table. And like I said, he brought, I don't know, he brought energy and fun that balanced Otis and Baby being crazy. You know what I mean? What do you think of
Yeah.
that?
Um, I mean, I guess, I guess. But I mean, with the situation and how he dealt with it, I didn't think he
Mhm.
did bad. The character that he got to play fucking Happy, whoever the fuck that dude is, um, it was pretty good because they look kind of similar. You know what I mean? Their
Mhm.
features, and so they're believable as, you know, half brothers or whatever you want to say. But
Right. Yeah, I agree
yeah,
with that.
I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, Richard Brake is.
it's better than him being a fucking cousin.
Yeah,
You
yeah. I mean,
know.
but Richard Brake as Foxy, I mean, he's a great, like I said, he's a very talented character actor too, and he's no stranger to Rob Zombie films, even before this. So he was fine. But I just feel like, yeah, they definitely missed having Captain Spaulding in it. I mean, Captain
Yeah.
Spaulding in both movies, House and Devil's Rejects, had literal scenes that were classic. You know, talking about his fried
Oh yeah,
chicken,
totally.
you know,
But what can you
the
do, and
oh, no, true. Yeah,
illness overtakes.
yeah.
It's a sucky thing.
Yeah, like I said, it's just too bad that they weren't able to do this film years earlier, you know? Not
Yeah.
not not
Yeah,
that a film
true,
is more
'cause
important than a life, but I'm just saying.
no, but Sid would have been able to do it all,
Yeah,
because he wouldn't have been maybe as sick at the time or maybe not sick at all. You know?
right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Well, guy, yeah, and Marcus was saying, yeah, I like Richard Brake, but this movie definitely suffered without Sid. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I don't think anyone could really, um, honestly, say otherwise because Sid was just he was larger than life. He really, really was, and he was a character that, like I said, when he spoke, you listened. You know. But I will say, they leaned a lot more on Bill, and I think he delivered as Otis. And I think Sherry Moon, had a lot of great, badass moments. So I think they did it, like you said, Coriander. I think they did about the best they could do in this type of situation. It's always tough when an actor, is ill or passes or what have you during the production of a film or shortly
Mhm,
thereafter. So they did about as good as they could do. I really
mhm,
agree with that. Okay, guys. Well, as always, when we get to the end of talking about a film, we always want to try to give our own grade of what we think about the film. And we've got our little grading system. We've got our badges, and we've got 4 badges, which means that we think that the film is excellent. It is, a classic of sorts. You should own it on physical media if you can. We also have our 3 badges, meaning that we think the film is, it's good. We liked it and it's fine. We've got 2 badges, meaning, we could take it or leave it. If we never see it again, we don't give a crap. And then, of course,
wow.
we have the dreaded 1 badge, meaning that we think it is absolutely horrible, despicable, shouldn't have never been made, aka what we like to call dark territory films, aka student bodies, aka blood cult, aka good night, God bless, and aka don't go in the woods alone.
Oh, yeah.
Coriander.
Yes,
That first of all, that's never going to get old. I love getting to that part of it. I don't know if
I know you
anyone
do.
else gives a shit, but I do. It's fun for me, just to be able to remember all that
Mm.
live. There's no script. You know what I mean? Um, So, Coriander, when you think about the grading for Three from Hell, what would you give it?
I would give it a 2.
Ooh, really? Okay, so basically saying
Well,
if
I
you
mean, yeah, I mean, well, with where you were like, "I'll never see it again." I mean, it had been years
Mhm,
since I'd seen, since I'd seen it. Like, I couldn't even remember really how it ended.
mhm, yeah, I remember that.
So, yeah,
Okay.
so I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, and we talked about this when we were watching it. We didn't get into specific grading because we wanted to save that for live. But I'm gonna tell you what, I hadn't seen it in a couple of years too. Matter of fact, the last time I saw it was, I think it was with you, if I'm not
Mhm,
mistaken. And I I forgot about things that were really good in this film. Like, I think the opening was really
mhm,
cool. The whole newscaster, guerrilla style filmmaking type of thing, and kind of following them behind bars. I think there were some cool scenes. I think Bill was great in it. I think Sherry Moon was as good in this one, if not better than Devil's Rejects. Um,
mm,
Obviously, the downside is not having Sid. That's a bummer. But I think Richard Brake was serviceable enough. He wasn't horrible. I think the shootout in Mexico, to me, and I know Marcus was saying they were portrayed as heroes, and I agree with that, and I get it. But to me, I felt more satisfied seeing them to be able to show that they're formidable. Whereas in Devil's Rejects, they got captured. You got William Forsythe torturing the hell out of them, and then Tiny
mm,
is the one that saves them. They
mhm.
basically got their asses kicked.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, the only
yeah,
people that they beat in the film were the people in the hotel, and that was, you know, two dudes and two ladies that were totally not ready for this type of shit. So
mhm,
to me, I kind of felt more satisfied as a viewer and also as a fan of these actors and the characters in a weird way, as a horror film. I felt more satisfied that they were able to handle their shit. I say all this, I'm ranting. I say all this to say I'm gonna give it 3 because I actually I actually had fun with the film and I was thinking to myself, man, I kind of had a bad rap on it. It's easily the weakest of the trilogy. Let's just get that out there because I know everyone's kind of like, what do you mean it's 3? When we give 3, it just means that, hey, it was pretty good. You know, we didn't hate watching it and we'd watch it again. That's what a 3 means. And that's how I felt. I was like, man, I was having some fun with it. So
alright,
that's where I'm going as a 3. Coriander went with a 2. Scott giving 3 badges to corpses, 4 to rejects, and 2 to 3 from hell. There you go. All right. Marcus saying agreed. Plus, the characters as a whole wasn't as compelling and fun as the characters in Devil's Rejects, but Bill and Sherry especially delivered in their roles. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I think the situation that they were in, um, with Sid and everything, I think they did pretty good. I really do.
mm,
Um, and who knows if if
mm,
if Rob Zombie maybe had more time and knew about Sid's limitations beforehand, maybe the story would have been crafted tighter. Who knows? It's hard to say, but yeah, that's 3
yeah,
from hell. All right, guys. Well, hey, let us know what you think down in the comment section. Tell us what you think about Three
yeah,
from Hell. What do you think about the story, the characters? Obviously, rest in peace to the late great Sid Haig, who, in
mm,
my opinion, was great as Captain Spaulding. I think if they had done another film, to have a true trilogy, I think that would have really cemented Captain Spaulding to more than just us hardcore horror fans, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
yeah.
So, since we, know what we're doing next week, and it's
Mhm.
kind of, a biggie, right?
I
Kind
I
of.
would say so, yeah.
Yes, are you gonna announce it, right?
Sure. Well, now I have to. Whenever you do that, it's like, how do I not?
But
Like
sometimes you don't, you're like,
I
"No."
know. Well, if I'm on the spot, uh, Marcus,
Mm.
that scene was awesome. Yeah, so next week we're gonna have a great time. If you guys seriously check us out on Patreon, we are going to have another Friday the 13th watch party. We're going to do part 2 with our good friend Michael, the
Yeah.
Carbonite Jedi, and also the
Yeah.
Movie Brothers. And it is going to be amazing. Michael was on the edge of his seat when we watched Friday
Mhm.
the 13th the other week. Those
Yeah.
that came to the watch party, and this is how I know when people,
And this
they're
is his first time viewing too. Let's just
yeah,
put
first
that
time
out
watching
there.
any of these films. Yeah.
Yes.
He's only seen Jason X, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
Yep.
So, next Sunday night, we're gonna do a watch party for Friday 13th Part 2, which of course, we absolutely love. Um,
Yep.
and guys, I'm telling you, you need to be there. We literally had a couple hundred views on that watch party. It was so engaging because we're cracking up. Michael's having, a conniption. It was great. So we're going to do that on Sunday night, and then on Monday night
Yeah.
we're going to be back on our regular night for Slasher Movie Club,
He'll be with
and
us.
Michael will be with us.
Yeah.
And absolutely, Marcus saying I'm gonna have to join Patreon so I can come hang out. Absolutely, man. We are definitely trying to have some really cool stuff, some exclusive stuff that we don't always get a chance to do regularly for the Patreon folks and channel members. So definitely check us out there. It's a great way to support the channel. Plus, we're also able to do some things that we cannot do on YouTube. We actually
Mhm.
play the movie for folks in the chat, just in case
Mhm.
you don't have it or just in case you're not able to rent it. So these are some of the exclusive stuff that we try to do as much as we can whenever we can on Patreon. So thank you so much for that, Marcus. I appreciate you at least putting that in the chat. And it's going to be a blast. You guys know us and Friday 13th. We love it. It's going to be a great conversation. And Michael's our
Yeah.
brother, and it's always fun with him. So
Right?
yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will be talking to you guys next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. If you're on social media or if you have the opportunity or ability to do it, share this out with others because we really enjoy talking about these types of films, things that we don't always get a chance to talk about regularly. This is where we do it on Slasher Movie Club. So we will catch you guys next time. And as always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Upchurch.